I am in week 5 of taking my life back. We're going to talk about my weight loss and my wins in the first 30 days of the carnivore diet. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new, I'm Karyn, and my husband Dan and I are trying to be as self-sufficient as possible before we retire. I am 58, he is 61, so we still have a few years before we retire. But one of the things that we have realized in the last couple of months is that if we lose our personal health, that is really going to affect how self-sufficient we can be. If you have any major health issue, it's going to make it very difficult financially. And also, if we want to raise animals and continue to do that sort of thing, we need to be mobile and able to do that. So with me in particular, I need to lose about 200 pounds. I'm taking that in 50-pound increments, and I have been on the carnivore diet for 30 days. I'm going to 90. We're going to see how well it works for me. Let's take a look at what are my results after the first 30 days. So the scale was kind to me today. I lost another 2.2 pounds, which makes my 30-day total 15.3 pounds. So I'm well on my way to my first 50-pound goal. But to me, even more exciting than that is how many inches I have lost. So I took my before pictures and my measurements after I was about 11 days into the carnivore diet. So the pictures that you're about to see are, the before picture is about 11 days in. So the results that you're seeing on the pictures and on 4 inches are actually from the last 20 days of the carnivore diet. I'm going to tell you what I see, but please leave a comment if you see more than I see. It's hard to compare pictures of yourself and be really objective. So let's take a look at the comparison pics. So the first set of pictures is from the front. I noticed from these pictures that my shoulder area and my neck area has decreased. Like there's some loss there. And that's the main thing I noticed from the front pictures. I do also feel like my shirt, this shirt that I'm wearing for the comparison pics, is fitting better. Now let's take a look at the side pictures. From the side, I noticed that my stomach and hip area have decreased some. And overall, I don't think there's a ton of difference between my before pictures 20 days ago and my 30-day pics. But I do notice some decrease in the stomach and hip area. And also, I have noticed that my pants are a lot looser than they were, both in the butt area and in the waist area. And then taking a look at the back comparison pictures. On the back pictures, I noticed that my upper back and my shoulder area, again, looks a little smaller. So I'm really happy about that. So overall, as far as inches, I lost about an inch off my chest, and I lost 2.5 inches around the waist and 2.5 inches around my hips in the last 20 days. So what other wins do I have besides weight loss and inches? I want to go over some of the issues that I had prior to starting the carnivore diet and if they're better or not. Prior to starting the carnivore diet, I had quite a few issues with inflammation. And I do still struggle with inflammation, particularly in my lower legs. But you know what, I've thought about that, and I used to wake up with my legs tight prior to the carnivore diet. And now I only notice it later in the afternoon and evening. So some of it I feel like is gravity. So after being up for a while, you know, the water, the inflammation in your body redistributes, and I think it's going to my legs. And I also realize that I have had inflammation issues for decades. And it's going to take a lot longer than 30 days probably to fix those issues. So I've decided, you know what? I'm not going to worry about it anymore. I'm going to trust the process with the carnivore diet. I've already seen some results with my inflammation decreasing, so I'm just going to keep going. Another issue that I had prior to starting the carnivore diet was joint pain. And I have noticed, and this is probably also related to inflammation, I have noticed that I don't have near as much joint pain as I did before. Now, I have a bone spur on my right hip that bothers me, but when it bothers me, it's because of inflammation in the joint. And I've noticed that since I've been walking more and doing this way of eating, I don't have hardly any pain in my hip. Now, if I walk too much, or at work I sit too much, I still have pain in that joint. But I am hopeful that this will continue to go away. Now let's talk about skin issues. If you take a look at my first video about going to the carnivore diet, and you look at my skin now, hopefully you can see that my skin looks a lot healthier. And I'm really excited about that. Dan has also noticed that my skin is looking a lot better than when I first started. I also have degenerative disc disease in my lower back, and I have noticed that in the last couple of weeks, I don't have near as many issues with my lower back, which is really nice because all of these kinds of steps make me more mobile and make me more able to be self-sufficient on our acreage as I get older. And just as an aside, I have been seeing a chiropractor every 3 weeks for the last couple of years due to the degenerative disc disease in my back. And I can say that my back is a lot more flexible than it was before I started going to the chiropractor. So I know that that is working toward healing my back also. And so I'm going to continue to do that every 3 weeks as well. Some other wins that I have had in the last 30 days is I have a lot more energy, and particularly in the morning until late afternoon. I'm not as sluggish when I get home from work. I feel like I can do more, and as I said last week that I was going to start walking more, and I shared on the midweek update, I have continued to walk 2 to 3 times a day for 5 to 10 minutes at work just to get up, improve that circulation. And I have noticed that I am not as out of breath. Like when I do my walks now at work, I'm not out of breath when I get back. And that's a big deal for me because Dan had also noticed that when I do certain things, like prior to carnivore diet, that I was getting out of breath a little bit and maybe not noticing it very much, but I notice it now. I am not out of breath when I'm doing some walking. So big win on that one. And as far as exercise goes, just as an aside for the carnivore diet, exercise is good for your heart, your cardiovascular health, and your pulmonary health, your lungs, and probably circulation, that kind of thing. But if you're going to exercise on any diet really, you shouldn't look at it as a way to lose weight. Exercise really doesn't help you lose that much weight. but what it's doing is making you healthier by exercising those other systems of your body. And along with talking about walking, my feet do not ache nearly as much, so that when I get up from somewhere and I start to walk, I don't have to old lady walk for a little while. Mainly, I can get up and just start walking, and Dan has also noticed how much better I am walking. So that is a huge win. So that is my weight loss and wins. And now let me share just a couple of meals that I've had in the last few days. I read about a cut of meat called the chuck eye steak, and they had some at my local grocer. So I picked up some, and some people call it the poor man's ribeye. And right now it's like $6 a pound cheaper than ribeye. So the other night I fried it up just to try it, and man, was it tender. I mean, and fatty like a ribeye. It was really good. Dan hasn't tried it yet, but I've got a couple of more, and we're gonna try it. And then last night I did something that I haven't done for 30 days, and that is get takeout. We have a local barbecue place. So I decided yesterday after work, I kind of didn't feel much like cooking. So I stopped there and I got some smoked brisket and some smoked pulled pork. This is something that I'm not going to do very often because, number one, I know how much you can get brisket and pork for at the store. And number two, I don't know what they're putting on their brisket and their pork, but I know that they probably mopped the pork as it was smoking, because I could tell just a slight sweet taste in the meat. So since I don't know what they're doing, and it probably involves sugar, I won't be doing that again. And exciting news, Dan and I are looking for a smoker so that we can add another layer to our flavors in our meat that we're eating, and so that we don't get, bored with what we're eating. So we're looking for a smoker. We're leaning toward an electric smoker that we can put our own wood chips in the bottom. And I just want to know your opinion on smokers. If you have a smoker or anything like that, let me know what is your opinion on the best smoker that's not going to break the bank. Because some of these smokers are well over $1,000. And by using one that we can put wood chips in the bottom of, we can continue to be more self-sufficient, because we had to take down an apple tree a couple years ago that was dying, and we saved the wood. So literally we could make our own wood chips to go into that smoker. So once we take the plunge and get a smoker, you can look for some of my meals to be some delicious smoked meat. And I just want to say, if you like to watch transformations, weight loss transformations, or anything like that, if you would consider maybe subscribing to the channel, that would be awesome. I usually do a midweek video and also a video on Saturdays that talks about my weight loss and my wins. Dan and I certainly hope that you are having an excellent weekend. And give me a comment below. Let me know how you think I'm doing, or let me know how you're doing. I've been really curious about some of you, and if you're still on the plan, if you're doing well. So give me a comment below. Have a great day. See you next time.